exams. Just a little hint, somewhere around 700 is usually passing. And so as you're going through the practice test with your students, make sure that in the practice test that they can get at least a 700. I have a lot of teachers who give their students a practice test. All of your exams in North Carolina come with practice tests. I have a lot of teachers who give a practice test the first week of class and then the week before. And have you already talked about this?
I haven't, but
perfect.
I do that a lot. So they get a little frustrated, but what I do is I record those scores.
Yes.
We talk about it. I let them see so they can kind of get an idea for what those tests are going to look like. So I do a G-metrics is how I usually.
That's exactly.
Yeah, I do. I just have them go in and do practice test 1, and we do it the first day of the software. A lot of us, my county's pushing CFA, Common Formative Assessment data, so I use that so that when I compare their I call it their pre-assessment, and then I show them, I'm like, what kind of points you gained? You gained 700 points, and they're like, oh. So it's a good practice to show, because also you'll find that some of the kids do better than you think they're going to do.
Yes, absolutely, and it gives the students confidence to see how much they've improved, and they really need that little boost right before the exam to help them know that they can do it.
Because I make mine we start with training. They have to do a couple of the trainings. I make them do like 1 and 2, and then everybody has to do a testing mode without help. They are not allowed to certify unless they've done that testing mode, so they get that. They have to do it without that help button so that they get a better, clearer idea. So I make mine take 3 practices at a minimum before they're allowed.
Yep, and I love that you do in the training mode because in the training mode, if your students this is after you've done
all my lessons, I've taught everything and all that.
Yeah.
Their pre-assessment, we do testing mode. They don't get any help.
Exactly.
No help. I want to see what they know.
Yes. So don't do your post-assessment in training mode.
Do your pre-assessment and post-assessment and testing.
Perfect.
That's important.
Yes, exactly. But before they take an exam, do also one in training mode, because if they miss a question, it will actually teach them how to answer the question.
Awesome.
I do that every time before I take a certification exam, and I learn so much, and it's why I've been able to earn so many certifications. So once your students get certified and you get certified, you guys will receive these badges. You can add them to your signature block.
And it keeps track of all of your badges going back. I have so many, because I've been doing so many. So when I go in, I have all these going back to 2012. Long time.
If you or your students are not getting your badges, it means one thing. Well, it could mean 2 things. Check your spam filter. But if it's not there, you have more than one Certiport account. And all you have to do is call our onboarding team, and our onboarding team will merge them, and then your badges will flow instantly, and so will your students. And especially if your school does bulk registration, there are some times where your poor students have multiple accounts. That phone number I will show on the screen right at the end, and just program it in your cell phone. This phone number is kind of your one-stop shopping for Certiport, whether it's tech support, whether it's your students who need something with their account, there's an option for that, or whether you need to get my onboarding team. My onboarding team is amazing for any getting started questions. We have a huge team, we've doubled the size of that team, and they're just standing by to help out. So
one thing that I have noticed with my students, especially those that are graduating, before they graduate, a lot of them want to get as many certifications as they can so they can take those with them to college and have the badge. But when they register for Certiport, they're using their school email address, which is deleted. So they have to go back in there and change that, or find another email address to get the badge.
Does your county make you use their student emails? Because I have my kids use their personal.
Really?
And then I just make them put in their student ID number so that they don't lose their Certiport, their badges, and all that.
Yeah, I have a lot of teachers here in North Carolina that let them use their personal email, and then they make their user ID, their student ID, and they make a password, all the same password, because on testing day, then they can easily get into tests.
I also have a form where my kids can turn in their usernames and IDs, and I keep track of them for years. And I'll have a kid that I'll have them every single year. They're like, scales and email passwords, and I do that for Geometric and Certiport. If you want me to share out that Google form, I'm happy to give it to you. Awesome. You can make a copy of it.
Awesome. Okay, just so you know, again, these are all the links that I'm going to share with you. But this will get from this Certiport link. It gets to our badging site where we use Credly. And these are the badges that your students will earn after they get their certification. And if they, the great thing is they can share these electronically, they can post them on their social media, they can send them to potential employers. But the cool thing is, like, these show all of the skills that somebody needs to have to have earned this certification for those potential employers. And the more awesome thing is you can click on the skills and it will actually take to live job listings and you can actually filter. And some of them have more job listings than others. So I like to play around with all those skills and okay, I didn't hear what you said, but anyway, then you can come down here, filter to North Carolina, update your location, and this can be jobs that you can just get your students excited about. Here's our titles, the job locations, you can click more and see more, salary ranges.
And it helps motivate them to want to be more successful on the test and take it seriously.
Yes, exactly, especially when you kind of click on some of those higher paying jobs. And like I said, you'll get different results, whichever one you click on. Sometimes these entry-level jobs are ones that are interns, like here's a college marketing intern. So anyway, so that's kind of something fun you can share.
Chris, can you show how you can apply the college credit for certifications?
That's what we're going to next. So anyway, okay, so our next thing is college credit. So when your students, let's see, let me get to the side there. Maybe I have it here at the end. Okay, so this is kind of something new and exciting for Adobe. Our Adobe exams for visual design, 1 college credit hour, and graphic, Illustrator, 1 college credit hour. And those are through a company we use called ACE, and they have a member directory of colleges in the US of 1,738 colleges. I went ahead and filtered it down to North Carolina. So in our state, we have 52 colleges that will accept that as college credit.
How far back will it go?
So
Do you have to be like
on the
2021?
So it says June 1st, if the exam was taken between June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2024. And do you know on this if we have an exact versioning that they specify? If not, I can see who might know.
And what's the question again? Sorry, I was responding to a text.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're
How
fine.
dare you? So the question was, could we go back to our students from like the beginning of 2021, 2022 school year and let them know that they can apply for this college credit? Will the versions,
Yeah. So
but just this last school year is what it sounds like.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So the ACE board is the one that tells us how far back we can go, and that would be the dates.
So again, this is another huge motivator to get them to take it seriously. Other question I'm going to follow up is it they have to pass it the first time, or is it they just pass it, period?
Just have to pass.
Okay. Perfect.
Can you show the North Carolina college?
Yeah, and you'll get these links.
She's going to link
You know,
everything.
Yeah, I'm going to send everything.
We just
So
want to make sure we have
that's another reason I captured your emails, so I can send this so you guys can share it with your students and get them excited about it. So, do you know what? That actually was all I wanted to share. Do you guys have any additional questions that I can answer for you? Yes.
LearnKey, is that getting rolled into the packages as far as the site license and such? Or is that still
I'm glad you asked. So the directors just received some special budget for certifications, and a lot of the directors are bundling LearnKey in it. We have a way to put it all in one line item for Trey Michael's direction. That allows them to get the course, the practice tests, and the certification all at one price, which allows them to use that special funding for it. And so if you want, so I'll be sending you all a LearnKey demo for you guys to play with. And then I'll also send a practice test in case you guys don't have it. But if you are interested in it, talk to me. I'll get you pricing, talk to your directors, and make sure they know that you would like it. And Kim Johnson from LearnKey is here, and she will be doing a session tomorrow. It's at 9 a.m. and it is in the. So if you want to, come in and ask her any questions, you're welcome to. And it is in Turn C.
All right, right next door.
All right, perfect. Any,
That
yes.
program's called
Learn
Key,
Key.
yeah.
K-E-Y.
And it has all of,
Easier than geometrics.
well, so geometrics is your practice test,
Learn
and Learn
Key.
Key is your course.
Learn Key is like a course module.
Oh, I used it, that's free during COVID, and I used it some, and there's some good stuff in there.
Okay, here are some brochures about the certification, and I had a few Adobe pins left over from a conference. And so if you didn't win a journal, I want you to come grab an Adobe pen and also a little charger. So, or if you want to trade your journal for Adobe pen and a charger, you can. So if you didn't win, come grab quick.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate Forever giving us their time and all our goodies. Grab a pen. John, you were the one who's on your chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And we're going to move on to Adobe Visual Design 2 here in just a moment.
Oh, I'm gonna grab more chargers. I don't want anybody to leave
You
without
okay?
chargers.
I am.
I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to go like, I'm so sorry.
I wish I would have had enough journals, everyone. I'm so sorry. They just, Miss Christie, I want to say hello. My name is Jennifer Simon. I will contact you as well, but you not have to see my okay anymore. Okay, so you're gonna dump everything on the campus to take care of. Okay. So let's see. I think Jan. No, it was
Yeah.
Last year's my first year.
Where's the free stuff?
I think it's all
You
gone.
gave out?
Oh, there's one.
We barely got one. But this one looks like it's popping off. Okay, I think so.
Thank you for all your help again.
Anytime.
Chris White again from Panther Creek.
Oh my gosh, Chris.
Thank you. How are you?
That is so good to have
Nice
a
to meet
face
you.
with a
Nice
name.
to meet you
Oh my
too.
gosh, we've talked so
Yes,
much.
for years.
Yeah.
About Brain Buffet.
Amen. Amen. Which I still love
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could include that demo too. So
Thank you.
it's the only reason I didn't is like this.
All right, as we're starting to transition, I put the opening quote
Thank you.
for this session. If you want to write those down, we'll try to remind you what it is at the end. That's VSU, Victor Sierra uniform for the second session for Adobe Visual Design 2. I'm going to go ahead. We forgot to plug something, and I'm going to skip down to that real quick and talk about, for those who may need this opportunity.
Okay. Awesome. So I do want to update. Well, do your updates now, but don't. Oh, sorry. Wait, where did he go?
So Red Wolf Digital
I'll
Media
send
is
it
a
out.
company that is run by Wes Petty and Christina Council. They are two original digital media. They started out with me, the original Ada Wayne County, and they used to do QTL trainings, and they actually did this LLC, I think it's an LLC, to do training. So they have a 40-hour teacher training course coming up, and Wes just texted me the other day and asked me if I'd talk about this. What I've done is on my site, if you scroll that page I made for y'all, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, I posted their flyer about the sessions. They're all virtual. They're in August and September, and they've got this scheduled out so that you can get that addition to your license to add that digital media. I think it's still listed as digital media. But like I said, I linked this. This is their website and their email, but this is one of those things where if you need a more in-depth, you want somebody to step-by-step help you kind of master these. This is a 45-day basically session. I will say Wes made sure to tell me that if you do both Adobe Visual Design 1 and Visual Design 2, you get a discount. So you may want to talk to your area. I'm going to pull up the flyer. Here we go.
You used to have to do the training for digital media. I don't know if that's still the case.
You have to pass the certifications, but to add this to your license, once you plug this thing in, the computer does not like to behave. There we go. So he's, like I said, I've got this flyer posted for you guys to have access to all of the information about pricing and about the dates, about space. You have to register by August 19th. They're doing a limited amount of spaces, but he's got this kind of information. You can see, like I said, it's all virtual. They're all in the evening. So it's not going to interfere with your school day depending on when you start. It's $5.95 per participant for 1 versus 2, and if you do both, it's $1,000. Don't pay for it. Get your county to pay for it.
And Wes Petty.
It's phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
He's a great guy. He's taught this as long as, if you know digital media, Wes Petty and Louis Maldonado wrote the original digital media curriculum for North Carolina long time ago, and they fought the good fight to stay away from Adobe, but they've definitely onboarded lately, and they are great resources. They have their website, which is, oh gosh, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but if you Google digital media, it pops up.
NCHS.
There it is. It's just like mine, NCHS. I knew I got it from somewhere. Okay.
Real fast. So I'm not allowed to publish the
Oh.
Canvas class.
We're not allowed.
To the regular Commons. So at the end, at like 10:40, I'm going to show you guys how to download the cartridge file and upload it. It's really easy to do. I wouldn't even recommend doing it now.
I'd
Because
wait.
it has to run. It takes like 20 minutes for the Canvas to like populate, but it's literally like download, import, and then you choose your file. What I do is if your county allows you to create your own Canvas classes, I just have like a shell that I never publish.
Yep, that's what I do.
That's called I call it like my test shell or whatever. And I upload everything into there, and then you can pull things from Canvas from one shell to another. But it's like an ownership issue. It can only go on the DPI Commons, otherwise then like everyone has access to it. But I try.
But we're gonna try. We're trying.
Yeah.
All right, so let's switch gears. I want to talk about Adobe Visual Design 2. This is new for everybody. We understand that. The objectives were kind of put out in the world, so some people may have seen them. So I want to hit the highlights. It is a focus on Adobe InDesign. Now, before y'all come at us, we did not make that choice. We were told. But here's the thing I want to make sure I stress. InDesign is actually a lovely program, and it is the one program that will get kids more jobs than Photoshop and Illustrator. Employers want InDesign. Now, we've created projects and guides and activities just like we did for Adobe Visual Design 1 that allow you to have that flexibility to create fun projects. If you approach InDesign in the way that, guys, we're going to learn about design and layout, and we're going to be printing your stuff and letting you really be designers and letting them personalize their work, they get into it. My kids actually love InDesign and get butthurt when I tell them we're done, back when we did all 3. So if you're not familiar with InDesign, it is, in my opinion, the easiest of the 3 softwares to get students into and get comfortable with. So you are able to do a lot more design, a lot more feedback activities, a lot more projects in this program, in my opinion, than trying to onboard them to Photoshop and Illustrator. Now, before y'all get upset, hear me. You still get to do Photoshop and Illustrator in this course. We fought hard for that to the point where I made them move percentages, or not made, I strongly requested. I can't make them do anything. I strongly requested that we adjust the percentages. Now, what we had to do was write the objectives in a way, because as Mike said earlier, 80% of your course has to be around your proof of learning, right? This course's proof of learning is the InDesign certification. So what we had to do is write the certification stuff where we're using InDesign the entire time, but we're also using Photoshop, and we're also using Illustrator, because in all reality, if you've ever worked in graphic design, you use all 3 all the time. I run them to the point where my computer does not always like me because I got all 3 running all the time. So the way to sell this to your kids is, y'all want to keep going in Illustrator? Awesome. Let's learn InDesign first. Let's lock down this layout software that is key to finding a job. Because if you look, Google it, I promise you, InDesign is the #1 graphic software that employers are looking for.
Right. So the way DPI essentially chooses what classes to teach is they go and ask employers what they're looking for.
Career advisory
And
teams.
If y'all should be getting paid out for your certifications, right? Hopefully you got.
We'll see in January.
This year. We'll see if
We'll
it's
see.
still around.
We'll see.
But if you look at the payout structure, Photoshop is worth $25 a test. Illustrator is worth $25 a test. InDesign is $50 a test.
50.
Right,
Y'all
so
want to do this
business, local business around the state is valuing InDesign
one. More.
more than Photoshop and Illustrator. And that doesn't come from Emily or myself, and that doesn't even come from DPI, right? That comes from the businesses that DPI asks what skills and what software they're looking for. So that, we want to make that clear. Also, I think InDesign, if you're talking about graphic design and not just
desktop
photo manipulation
publishing
or illustrating, InDesign is the graphic design software, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be using those other softwares in conjunction with InDesign. So you might edit your photos in Photoshop, make your graphics in Illustrator, but then they're going to combine everything.
We shouldn't be making any flyers in Photoshop, y'all. I'm just saying. When I teach Photoshop, we don't make flyers. We edit photos. And then we go to Illustrator, we make pretty animations and we make drawings. But if I want to build a document that's going to be printed, we do not do Photoshop. I can't stand when I see Photoshop. If y'all do that, sorry, I'm not coming at you.
I do that. I do plenty of posters and things.
That's like, y'all, woo, you want to drive me up a tree. I get all sorts of hot. The kids are like, why are we making flyers? I'm like, we don't do that in Photoshop. So we use InDesign for it. Okay, so I'm going to go through the objectives. I color code because I'm extra. So I color code. This is my own version. If you want my pretty version, it's a little different. Let me know. I'll send it out. So objective 1 is, some of this is going to be recycled from visual 1. I'm going to be very real with y'all. There's no way to avoid that. We have to kind of go back through some of this as review. Do I think I'm going to spend 10% of my course doing this objective? I don't need to. You do need to hit the highlights. We provided you with materials and resources. We tried not to duplicate anything, but some of the content does duplicate. You have to remind them again about file types. You have to remind them again about target audience and about elements and principles.
You might have a kid take level 1 as a freshman,
and then
this class is a
senior,
right?
Which you don't want.
They're going to need some refresh. Ideally, that wouldn't happen, but we all know that.
Yeah, it's going to happen. So 2 is going to be, and you're going to see, I'm going to flip through them really quick because I want you to see there's a lot more objectives here than there is in visual.
The reason that this exists is because if you look at the certification objectives, there's way more in InDesign than there are in Photoshop and Illustrator. So again,
we tied them together.
The majority of this is aligned, not the last objective, but the last 2 aren't. But the first 5 are aligned directly to the certification objective.
So 2 is going to be your interface for InDesign. That's the tools, the panels. You kind of have to onboard them a little. Again, if they've done Photoshop and Illustrator, should it take 10% for you to onboard them? Absolutely not. I spend about a day. Okay. 3 is going to be document organization. This is kind of modifying, using layers, managing pages. We're going to go through a lot of this so that everybody's kind of really clear. Again, we have the InDesign session this afternoon. So if you've not really messed with InDesign, come back and play with me because we're going to do some fun. 4 is going to be that construction. This is us building. We're going to spend a lot of our time in InDesign in this objective. It's a quarter of the objective. So 25% of our time is being spent here building layouts, building projects, building documents, doing feedback, having them apply those skills. And then 5 is publishing. Do I ever just go, we're going to spend just the last 5% doing we should be publishing as we're doing. So in my opinion, 5 should be done while you're doing 4. Okay.
One of the things about the level 2 class compared to level 1, right? When you're learning Photoshop, you're learning a tool, you're learning a skill. But in InDesign, it's hard to single those things out. So a lot of these things in InDesign, you might spend a day learning this tool, but you're going to be combining a lot of these into slightly larger projects or things like that. Like layers, right? I think unit 3 is layers.
Yep.
You're going to be using that on probably every
Everything.
single project that you do. So how you choose to spend that time, it's a little more up to you. And then you'll see when I go over the canvas, it's less chunked out because things are.
We don't do an activity for 601 or 602. We do here's 6, here's 5, here's 4 because everything we tried, we looked at it and we just could not find a road to do that felt natural. And usable for you. 6 is going to be kind of going through the difference of designing for print versus web. We want to make sure that we're doing some of those ebooks. We're doing the interactive components. That's going to be a little that animation in InDesign. If you've never played with that, I've got stuff for you. Don't feel like you have to make stuff. I've made you tons of stuff. And then this is my meat. This is my fun. 30% of the course is going to be integrating Photoshop into InDesign and then integrating Illustrator into InDesign. So we've got that built in for you that 24% of the course is how do you import raster and vector graphics because nobody's just making a print document, right? We all use images. We're a visual society. So this is, again, how you choose to approach these objectives is completely up to you. If you want to be sprinkling in Illustrator the whole time, do you. You want to be sprinkling in that Photoshop editing, go for it. We've given you projects that incorporate all 3. When I get to this, I'm doing big projects. I'm doing a huge interactive magazine project where I'm doing group work to get that component of them learning to work together. This is an advanced level course. They should be doing more working as teams, because we aren't islands, right? We have to learn to work with people, and I don't let them pick their groups, by the way.
I think the way we sort of envisioned this last unit is like, if you have the ability, like you're going to local business, you're going to your chamber of commerce, your tourism board, whoever it is that's willing to help. And local places love working with schools, right?
Yep.
It's an advertisement for them. It gets their name out there. And you say like, hey, like we'd like to make a brochure for you guys, right? And then can you get that person into your school? Can they film a little video or just give you a little write-up? Kids are actually working professionally. They're not getting paid.
But they get that
like,
experience.
They're getting that experience. They can put it on their resume and things like that. Do you have to do that? No. But is it a good idea? Most likely. Also, you could probably certify your kids halfway through.
Easily.
For those of you that have done the InDesign test, it's actually probably like
It's
one of the easier tests to do.
There's a few things that
Yeah.
are definitely like tables, and there's some
Some tricky
interactive stuff.
on
But
there's some interactive stuff like the in-play panel, things
Mhm.
free play panel, things like that. But when you choose to certify as a few, if you find that like your students check out, right? Because that proof of learning, that final exam is just the one certification test. And so like if you feel like the kids are going to check out after they finish that, you could hold that off until the end of the year.
How do y'all feel about running the Adobe Visual 2 as like a yearbook?
Here's my concern. I'm going to be very honest. My concern about is when you merge a yearbook class with this, yearbook is going to take the focus, and you're going to have kids having to go out and take pictures and write content and do interviews and pull kids out and deliver yearbooks. And you're not going to be able to meet, in my opinion, the POL effectively to please DPI. I've been a yearbook advisor. I've done it forever.
I've done yearbook for 10 years.
You can't,
I will
not in a million years.
My 60,000 yearbook is gonna come
Before this.
And I know
My-
that's their,
Yeah.
I would not do that.
At my school, we don't have it as a class, it's a club, so I would
That's a
have,
disaster. too.
I could have the club.
I'm so sorry. Shan, I'm so sorry.
Write-ups would have my-
I mean, you can try it. I'm going to be very honest with you. I think you're not going to be able to complete the curriculum effectively, because if you're solely focused on the problem is like she said, your yearbook is making your school a lot of money. And that's going to be because you have parents that are upset. You've got senior ads to build. Like I'm telling you, like I've done the yearbook. I strongly recommend not doing that.
I think what you could do if you're feeling pressure from a club and a class is you could have your class maybe design some spreads, right? Like, okay, like what is like,
Senior ads.
Yeah, senior ads. What's that going to look like? And then you can have that
Business
class do
ads.
that, and then the yearbook club is the one that's really going to take the photos and write it and populate it.
And I will say, from yearbook, it will depend on if you do your yearbook on InDesign or
On
online.
Jostens Avenue.
And so, like, I do my yearbook online. You
Yep.
don't use InDesign, and so.
But, like-
you'd be doing two separate things.
Yeah.
And online
You'd
is
be doing
easy.
2 courses in one.
Online's
per
easier.
semester.
Because then all of it flows together. Because like Liz Luna at Athens Drive in Raleigh, she does hers in InDesign. Oh God, she does. Like spank somebody, because that thing is phenomenal. She can talk to you about it, but when I say she is like, it's a lot.
And the
It's a
online-
lot to do it in
online
InDesign.
programs like let kids access it. from
Yeah, and you can
home,
access it
they
from
can
home,
do
and then it all syncs together, and they can all edit each other's pages. Where if it's in InDesign, you're having to do a lot more of the back work. Where like Jostens, that online yearbook ads.
She's with Walsworth.
Yeah, she is. She
That's
does
what
it.
we do.
Yeah, because she. All right, so
Hold on.
we've got 36
Yeah,
minutes.
we don't have a ton of time.
2 things. 1, don't do it. 2, if you have to incorporate it, do with InDesign that portion about the web, do a smaller something, do an addition, do a QR code that links to extra stuff. And that way you're not committing to anything. But you've got a little QR code in the back of your book or something. For more stuff that happens later in the year, go here. And then you can set up something like that where your InDesign kids are doing a little something, but it's not the book and it's not under the time constraint. But they tried to make me do that. And let them.
I promise you, you are.
If your yearbook class is not a class, fight hard for it.
You need to. You can't run a yearbook as a
Because
club.
there's no accountability for the students.
Nope.
for inherent needs.
Yep. All right, so Adobe Visual Design's curriculum guide. The structure is exactly the same as Visual Design 1. I'm going to scroll down here and just kind of show, blah, blah, blah. There we go. So like I said, we've got it where it's unpacked again. We've listed off to you kind of what we're doing for here. Like we've got some stuff that also flows. So like we have an activity about what are brand style guides, and then we have a project about making brand style guides, which is an awesome project, by the way. If you've never made brand style guides, phenomenal project. They get into it. So again, we've got stuff for you where they're analyzing, like I have mine do this. They have to go out and look for brand style guides and kind of talk about what they are and what they do. I'm scrolling down. But just like we had in the last one, we've got it where we unpack the content for you with the vocab. We're providing PowerPoints again with those animated GIFs, images that we took of the software demonstrating different things. We've got, again, they're not pretty. Y'all gonna pretty them up, or you can go to my website and steal my pretty. We've got vocab for you. We've got worksheets for you, glossaries for you, and then we have activities again for you linked. Some are linked depending on what they are, if we own versus if DPI owns them versus if like I own them or Dennis owns them. But we have worksheets for you as well. Some of these are, again, are review-based elements and principles of design. We're not trying to reteach those lessons. It's let's refresh our brains and get back into where we're at. I'm gonna scroll down.
It is very similar to the level 1 curriculum in terms of the layout and the guide, right? We wanted to keep things looking pretty much identical.
And it's big again, y'all. We're sorry. It's big. We know it's big.
You'll see, like, in the last unit, the project write-ups are like 5 to 8 pages, right? Because they're multi-step things. But again, like, you can feel free to edit those or use those or not use those.
So I just scrolled down to one of the ones that's more heavy InDesign. This is 4.02, and you'll see it's like character settings and type tools and paragraph settings and using, there's a lot more of that in here. And if you scroll down, once again, we've got supplemental for you, bullets and numbering. There's my worksheet, and there's my YouTube. There's my table of contents worksheet. When we made this, we kind of had to finish at some point. My website has even more stuff for InDesign. I keep throwing stuff up there, and I'll keep throwing stuff up. So we're not going to keep updating the guide for, I can't keep adding to the guide based on the worksheets I make on a Tuesday afternoon when I'm bored. But if you like the worksheet style, these are InDesign worksheets. I'm going to go over here.
And compared to level 1, we tried to combine things a little because, again, like if you look at the way the certification objectives are written out, it's really hard to teach the software that way, right? You're not going to like teach text a month into using InDesign.
You've got to teach it quick.
Yeah.
You can't wait till Objective 4.0 to teach them what a text box is. You just can't. Now, I have different activities broken down. Again, you are more than welcome. These are InDesign files. I will say sometimes they come in with a lot of errors because of maybe you don't have the font I had, maybe the images embedded weird, something like that. So these are good shells for you. The errors don't stop you from being able to effectively use these, but if you scroll, like, y'all, I got so much up here, so much. I do have a mini yearbook activity, Joe Chan, where they make a 2-page yearbook spread. It's bad though, it's early. So what we wanted to do though is create activities that kind of took the entire objective and grouped them for projects. So here's exactly, okay, exaggerating spacing character format activity. So we've got some of these where it's really detailed instructions with examples. Can y'all hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, they're just getting loud over there. But if you look, we've tried to put the objectives here. We've tried to put kind of what they're going to be learning, using what different tools, and given kind of step-by-step instructions on some. And then some are like he said, where they're kind of more vague, if you will. I'm going to scroll down.
I think we broke it out like by.
Yeah, he's going to show you the Canvas shell here in just in a minute.
It does look a little different. It's mostly the same. Yes.
So I looked at the Canvas shell, so you don't have any quizzes?
Did not build any quizzes.
We did not build any
That's
test
something that you'd
banks.
have to build on your own. But I would like G-metrics. I personally, I don't give any quizzes.
Some people don't give quizzes, which is the other reason. I don't do tests. I give quizzes on the vocab, and I've made my own test bank over the years. Some of the QTL test questions, if you still have access to those, are still relevant. I've had to tweak them and modify them. I've done a lot more visual questions where I take the tool, what tool is this? And tell me which fill in the blank and matching.
That's what I do for the warm up every day.
exactly.
To get them
Acclimated.
remember where the tool is
Yeah.
and what the name of
Yeah,
it.
and it's a 1-2 questions, and it's
Quizlet has a bunch of stuff too.
Quizlet.
Quizlet
There's
has all kinds of stuff.
there's so much out there that we just didn't feel there was also, we were trying to rewrite 2 courses in 1 year and we were already about to kill ourselves. And if they had asked me to write test questions, I'd have quit. But this is like where I wanted to show 7.0.
I think also in SchoolNet, there's item banks in there, so you can go.
I'd look carefully at them though, because some of them are probably outdated.
Some of them are old, some are probably digital
Are they
media.
still in there?
I don't use
We're in
SchoolNet.
there last year.
They're not, your CMIC should be able to do it.
So for example, this is the project, one of the projects I do. So we have given you projects that use all 3 software. So again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to figure out how to incorporate all 3 softwares. This is a calendar project I do. I do these huge ones where they have to make a 12-month calendar. I divide the class into 2 groups. They have to compete. I make them do stand-up meetings where they have to, every day, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? What are you struggling with? I do a lot of group work to get them used to that dynamic. And then the other thing that I would strongly say, if you don't do a lot of feedback in Visual 1, though you should, in level 2, y'all need to rip them apart. You need to make them print it. You need to get that pink or red or orange pen, whatever color you love, and you need to start finding all their little stuff. And you want them to come up to you and be like, find something. I dare you, Scales. Find it. They live for it. But this course, if you don't have a printer that's printing, I would get black and white. Don't let them print color. You need to let them print their documents. They need to see in InDesign what it looks like. But these big group projects, if they go into this industry, they're going to be working in teams. They need to figure out how to work together so that they make a cohesive product that looks like one person did it. And I tell them that if I can tell who made what, y'all have failed my project. So these are huge. This is 30% of the curriculum. It's just doing, and we don't have any really activities for 7.0. It is all projects. And that's what you should be doing. Once they've learned InDesign, you pass that certification, we should be doing big, fun projects. Do you have to do group work? No. Do I strongly suggest it? Yes.
But being a professional, unless you're freelancing by yourself.
And again, I don't let them pick their teams because you don't get to pick who you work with in life. I mean, sometimes you do, but
and
rarely.
It might be like, you might get the kids certified halfway through, and then you have 45% or 50% of your curriculum to do big group projects. Since it's new, who knows exactly how the timing is going to play out.
Like we've even given you team positions so that you can appoint like a team leader, an art director, a copy editor, and a designer. And I make those kids report to me. And we have little meetings, and I'll say, I want to see my team leaders. Tell me where you're at. Tell me what you're doing. 30.
25.
It depends on the room. I've gone as high as 34 with kids who are able to bring their own computers. I've had as low as 18. I like them full. I'm a department chair as well, so I will never make my teachers have more kids if I'm not willing to max out my room. I got kids sitting on floors some years with laptops. Oh, I have pillows though. It's real cozy. I got those husband pillows, you know, those ones that wrap around you get your first year in college. I got like 20 of those.
You could do this class, and maybe you have a full class, and maybe it's too many kids, and maybe you could get buddies with guidance and be like, hey, can we put a smaller cap?
And make sure you talk to your chair and make sure that they're,
I was just wondering
yeah.
if you were doing all these projects and you had smaller class size versus.
If I've done
you're
1
doing it
year,
with large groups,
I'm doing it
so
usually with
that
really, so this calendar one I do with 12 kids per group. And then if I have too many, I double up and I'm like, all right, I want 2 Januaries or 2 Octobers. That's my birthday. You better give me 2 good Octobers, where I kind of have to supplement and modify. I've done small, where I've done just one big group project where I had one class where they made me teach Adobe Visual Design 1. At the same time, I was doing Adobe Advanced Studies. I had 15 and 15 trying to teach 2 classes. Don't ever let anybody do that, y'all. It is a nightmare.
Typically, I don't do a lot of group work. So this is going to be new for me.
And I love it.
A challenge for me to try and do group work because it makes me really nervous and it stresses me out trying to put kids in groups and then disciplining groups versus disciplining like single kids. So I'm a little nervous.
But this is how
I'm going to try.
This is how I solve it. I make them give an evaluation of themselves at the end, and they have to evaluate their group members, and it's private. And I look at them when they give everybody 10s. I'm like, throw this back. I trash it. I rip it up, and I go, that is a lie. Don't lie to me. And y'all, I don't play. Can y'all tell my children? They know. So I do make them evaluate, which becomes part of their grade, so it keeps them on sync. When I have a kid that is not doing what they're supposed to, he and I step out, or she and I step out, or they and I step out, and have a little heart-to-heart. And I always tell mine, y'all don't want to go out in the hallway with Scales. Y'all gonna meet Scary Scales. You don't want to meet her. Scary Scales. That's what they coined that years ago. My middle schoolers named my alternative personalities. She's also Wilhelmina. She has a whole name because she extra. But we do evaluate them this way. I do give them a part of their grade 20. So we've given you those forms as well to help you. And I also, one of the things that I do, and we didn't talk about this during AV1, is I make them self-reflect on their projects. I give them questions. What was I really proud of? What could I have done better? How did I use feedback to enhance this? I make them think about it. And if some of them give me 1 or 2 word answers, they come see me.
And that's if you're looking to do honors classes and
This
your
is
county trying
important.
to stress how do you differentiate between standard and honors, that self-reflection is a big part of that if you want it to be, because it pulls in like literacy standards, like can they read and can they write, is their grammar okay? But also it's a higher level of thinking, right? Like can you reflect like what would I do differently? What did I struggle with? Things like that. That's what my county is essentially what we do for honors stuff. It's like add a reflection piece.
So we've got like this is the two projects that I do. I do the interactive group magazine project. Is also up here. So again, I've given you everything we could possibly give you to give you a good option. We've even given you like, do you want to have them make EPUB books and have them do versus print books? Like we've given you also all of that. So as we did with the other class, our goal was to give you a buffet of choices so you can pick and choose what works best for you. If you don't want it, if you're not comfortable doing group work, maybe you're new to this and that is an extra piece that you don't feel comfortable managing, you don't have to. You can have them do their own 3-page magazine spread and let them choose their own topics and things like that. But this is a great course for integrating literacy as well, because I don't let them use placeholder text for their projects. They have to write, and it better be right, and it better be spelled right. You better have correct grammar, punctuation, and I read mark all of it. So the feedback piece is key. There's a lot of times where we're doing projects, the only thing I'm doing for weeks is daily feedback, where they sign up for a time slot. They get 10 minutes with me. It's one-on-one, and we go through it. And as I progress through these courses, I get much more real with them, where I'm like, what is that? Why did you do that? Do you not see what I see? And I start circling, and they start seeing it. And again, I print in InDesign when we do InDesign. They have to learn to get feedback. They have to learn to give feedback. So I also do, if you want methods for feedback, by the way, I do musical chairs, where I do Post-its, like large Post-it notes, and they have to write pluses and deltas, or deltas, pluses and minuses about things, and they can't just be, it sucks. And we talk about why we do feedback. We talk about the benefits of feedback, why we have to have feedback. But here's the other thing that I do. I work for the school, right? They're always having me design something, you know? They're always having me, Scales, will you make a program for our athletic banquet? Sure. I have the kids critique my work. I print them off, and I'm like, guess what we're starting with today? Here's Scales' work. Rip it apart. Find every mistake. And they do, and they love it, because it shows them that as a teacher, they sometimes think of us as being so perfect. And I need them to see that I need y'all to rip apart my stuff. And they get a little nervous about it. It's really cute. And I'm like, look what I did. I messed that up. And I start finding my own mistakes the first time. And then slowly they start finding my mistakes, and they start giving me feedback. And what if you tried this? And I don't like that font. And I think that color's not quite right. And that's an important skill for them to learn, especially these COVID kids who have not had enough of that critiquing. And I say, y'all, you're going to hate me at first. You're going to hate me. But in the end, it's going to make you a better designer. So we're not trying to go, because we want to make sure we're honoring our time. We want to go through the Canvas course as well. This is up here. My site is also up there. I'm always adding to it. Bookmark it, check it regularly. We're here for you to help you. Please let us help you. If some of you I've talked to for years, and you know we're here to help.
I think it's important to know that from a software skill perspective, this class is easier.
It is.
Than the level one.
You can do a lot more fun stuff. Like I have a book jacket project where I let them pick their own books, and we redesign the covers. And again, it's just, they get into it. If you let them personalize everything, they get into it. Mark?
So this only works, I think, for my school, because when they sign up for class, they get 1 and 2.
Yep, that's awesome.
So what I've pitched to my school is I actually want to teach 2 first. Because it's one certification. It gives them the whole year to learn Illustrator.
My only problem is you've got a whole objective you won't be able to do until later. So you'd have to teach it as a year-long course.
But you have a lot more flexibility.
You have more flexibility than the rest of us do.
Yeah,
Nobody else do that, unless you're doing his where it's locked in together and they have to do 1 and 2. And it's one student. Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm going to let him take over Canvas. Again, we've got about 20 minutes. We're trying to do some Q&A as well, so y'all can ask all your stuff.
Right, so the Canvas is going to look really similar.
I already got time to.
Is it this one?
Oh, I got you on. Yeah.
So, right, the Moodle's going to look the same. The discussion board is the same for all of the Adobe classes. So, yep, it's all one discussion board. But everything's going to look the same, right? The curriculum guide is here. So this NC DPI Canvas Commons, as many of you probably know just now, doesn't work for a lot of people. But that's the only way DPI will let it get published out there, because then they have control over it.
Don't give us bad emails. We didn't-
Yeah, there's not. I tried. I just asked about publishing it to the regular Canvas Commons, but we're not allowed to do that. So what you're going to want to do, I'll go over this at the end, is you download this cartridge file right here. It's not a file that you're ever going to open on your computer because it only works in Canvas.
Like,
But then in your Canvas shell, I'll show you how to do it. You're just going to go to import and then you choose the file and it'll say like running and it'll take 10, 15, 20 minutes,
you
however
want to
long
make
it
sure it's
takes.
secure Wi-Fi. You're not
Yes.
worried about being
Yeah. Is it running now? Yeah, it takes a little while because it's a lot of stuff. So I'm going to go back here to, let's see, to Canvas. So what you can do, like what I like to do, is here's like unpublished courses, and I just made these Canvas classes myself. Some of your counties might not let you do this, and so what you could do is ask your media person or whoever's in control of their Canvas, like, hey, can you make a sandbox for me, right? Just like make a sandbox and call it this. If you do have control, you can just do start a new course, and you're gonna choose manually created courses, and then you can just name it whatever you want, right?
So mine's like AVD2 shell.
Yeah. And that's what I did with these, just because I wanted to have access to them to show them to you guys. So here is the level 2 Canvas shell. So it's set up essentially the same way. The homepage is the same. Yep, everything is uploaded and chunked out into files. But where it does look a little different is in the modules. And it's got a lot of the same stuff, right? Like additional resources for teachers and things like that. I just copied those over. But where it's different is that in level 1, we broke it down so that it's like 1.01, 1.02. But again, because this class is sort of like a more holistic approach where like you're using InDesign and you're sort of doing all these things at the same time, didn't make a lot of sense to break it down into 1.01, 1.02.
Everything for 1 is together in the shell. Everything for 4 is together.
But I still separated it. So
But it's
you
still
have,
labeled.
your unpacked content for 1.01, and then you're going to have, instead of like 1.01 PowerPoint, it's just like 1.0 PowerPoint, just because it doesn't really make a lot
I
of
tried to
sense.
break, and some
Yeah.
of them had like 3 terms. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not making a whole PowerPoint for 3. That's dumb.
It's just
Some
harder
are
to
long,
work
I'll
through.
tell y'all, I'm really sorry, but we wanted to maintain consistency. Like 4.0, y'all are long.
But you can still see there's a lot of instructional activities here. Some of these, like the brand style guide, is like sort of encompasses all of the indicators within that standard. So then we have like 2.0, right? And then there's all the unpacked content.
All the PowerPoints both have all
Yep,
that
it's all in there.
here.
And then your instructional activities. So you've got your worksheets, you've got your skills practice assessments, which would be like a little more independent, and then supplemental resources. There's a lot for InDesign. Some of these didn't get published. You can publish those. For InDesign, there's a lot of supplemental resources that we found on the Adobe HelpX website. There's also a website called InDesign Skills, which we found, which has a lot of like step-by-step tutorials for kids that also teaches skills that they might need to know.
And we'll say if the links go down, that's because some of those are not us, and we don't have
Yeah.
control over that. The only one that we control is
Also, so like every 2 years, Certiport goes through and they update their objectives.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, the objectives won't match these objectives 1 for 1. And like DPI does not want to go in and update this class every 2 years, because then it's going to be in like field test every 2 years to change the objectives. Yeah.
And we advocated trying to keep something all the time. It's so frustrating.
Right. So you got your 3.0, your unpacked content, and it's all here. It's all here.
Again, buffet. Please don't eat everything.
In this class, the 4.0 is by far the biggest unit. So you'll see there's like, it goes up like standard or indicator, whichever one it is, like 4.08. And then there's a lot of instructional activities in here. Some of these are worksheets. Those are from Scales' website. So these are all going to link out to her website. And then you're going to just keep going down. You'll find the skills practice.
Website itself, because I also give like Word documents to the kids, images for the kids to use, so that they aren't trying to go out and find images. Because I can't spend 45 minutes so you can find the right picture of the donut about your name. Like I don't.
You could honestly spend half of your semester in Unit 4 with all the stuff that's here. I wouldn't do that personally.
25%.
Yeah. Right, because there's a lot of these independent projects you'll see that these are all written up with rubrics and et cetera, et cetera. And then so 5.0, like some of them are shorter, right? Like 5.0 There's
shorter.
yeah, 6.0 is
I
shorter.
don't cover 5.0 independently, or I don't pay it. I plan to just incorporate it into every, all right, remote export, how do we do it? Let's talk about here, let's look at the options.
So,
I'm gonna do a separate.
right, 7.0 is that one that's like 30%, but these independent project guides, you'll see that there's fewer of them, but these are each meant to take like probably a week or two, maybe more. So I wouldn't try and do all 4 of these in a semester.
What I would recommend. Choose 2 that you really like, you have time to do a third.
And again, right, these aren't assignments, so students can't submit to these, but it's really easy for you to just go up here and do your little plus and create an assignment, and call the assignment the same name, and then you can just copy paste or upload the file in there. It's just too difficult to make all of these assignments because there's due dates and calendars and grading, so you guys can do that on your own. All right, I want to show you really fast, right? So when you're in the Moodle, you can download this cartridge file. And when you're ready to upload, it's really easy. So let's say I'm going to create a new class just from scratch. I'll just demonstrate it. I'm going to go to my dashboard. I zoomed out too far. I'm going to do start a new course, and I'm going to choose a manually created course. I don't want to put it in with my school, and I'm just going to call it ZZZZZ, and I'm going to hit create. And it's going to create that course. Now, no one has access to this course except for me
You won't have any
or you.
kids assigned to it.
No.
It'll just be a private. I wouldn't publish it.
And you could import. So, like, if your school creates the course for you that automatically populates the students, you can do what I'm about to show you right now with your school created course. It works exactly the same. You just in your settings, right? The default is going to go down here to settings, all the way at the bottom. And under course details, it's the first tab. On the right, you have this import course content button. We're just going to click on that. And you could probably, I'm sure there's like a YouTube video on importing content, but it's really straightforward. We want to choose which one is it? Canvas course export package. It's the second one. And then you're just going to choose that export package from your computer. I'm not going to upload it now because it's going to take a long time. But you're going to choose that package, and then you want to choose all content.
You can delete what you don't want.
Yeah.
It's easier to import everything.
Right. The one you just chose, the Canvas, is that where you download?
No, so you're going to download it from the Moodle.
Okay, yes, but when you selected that, if you go down to the selection.
Yeah, wouldn't you use the
it says
common cartridge package?
That's the one I.
So I've never used common cartridge package. I've always done.
I think either one works.
Yeah.
It works.
Okay. Okay, so either one of those works then. Good to know. When I did it this weekend to test it again, I just used the Canvas course export package. But so you guys can do this like at the end of the year if your school messes with your Canvas or if you're transferring districts and you're going to lose access, you can export your own package as a file and hold on to that. I highly recommend doing that just so you have access to your stuff. Now, if you have due dates in there, it's going to throw some issues. You might have to like clear your due dates and stuff.
Which is
like
why I make a shell that has no due date.
Yeah.
And then I download, if I were to say leave Wayne County and go somewhere else, I would download my shell. I wouldn't download a class where kids have been involved and I've had to adjust due dates and things like that. So my shell has no due dates in it, and then as I publish, I go in and adjust the things. I put in what kind of course, like what kind of activities, homework, classwork, tests, things like that.
So you're just going to choose the file. I would do all content. You don't need to click adjust events and due dates because there's no due dates. But if you have your own, I would do adjust events and due dates. And then you just hit import and it's going to run.
Yeah.
And I think you can actually, like, once it starts running, you could close your laptop because it's happening on the back end. But it does take 10, 20 minutes, however big the Canvas course is. The level 1 course is bigger than the level 2 course. There's more files and stuff, so that probably takes a little longer for it to run. And then once that's done, your homepage is going to be like the default homepage that we've created. And then everything is in the module. All the work is in the modules page, and those modules link to the files page. So you can move those files around however you want.
All right, we've got about 10 minutes. We kind of want to give everybody a chance to have questions. And then obviously a lot of us are going to go to lunch. Mike?
You said the unpublished pages, you should still pull content into if you want to create.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can add whatever you want.
Add, take away. Once it's in your Canvas, you can do whatever you want with it.
Like,
it's not going to affect
Yeah, I have my own canvas, right, that I've created over the last like 4 years. So I might pull some stuff that's in here, but I'm personally not going to use this full guide. We wanted to create this because we see on the Moodle message board all the time, like, does anyone have a canvas shell? Does anyone have a canvas shell? So they asked us to create it, so we did. Having said that, if you haven't used Canvas or if you don't feel super comfortable with Canvas, but your school wants you to use it, like I put a lot of effort into these Canvas shells, so everything that is in that guide is there for you. And I think it's probably easier to navigate the Canvas than it is through a giant Word document.
I agree.
Yeah.
What other questions can we answer for you? We want to make sure we give the lady her time to set up here in a few minutes. Oh, yeah.
I just want to thank y'all for all your hard work and for being so willing to share.
Well, you're very welcome. It is WT1. WT1. The opening code for those who don't have that one. VSU, is that right? Yeah, BSU is the opening code. B, Victory, Victor, Sierra, Uniform. And then the closing code is Whiskey Tango 1.
What about for the first?
Girl, bye. Why are you trying to be extra? I already closed those down. Hold on. Hold on.
Are y'all gonna be working on like the other Adobe classes, like the digital?
Girl.
So I think we can only do like so many at a time.
It's
So
too
I think
much
the
to,
goal
like-
is to do
Videos
video
next.
and we're gonna add a level 2. What that's gonna be is it gonna be After Effects? Is it gonna be more? No one knows yet. That's what they're gonna tell us. But that's gonna be. They talked to me about it. Like a 2-year process.
Session.
We did both of these courses in like one school year, and it was overwhelming.
We wanted to kill ourselves at one
Yeah,
point.
so it's gonna take.
You already had so many things.
But it was so much work. So much work. So opening code for the first was LKR. Closing was NTY.
Real fast, I want to say, like, because there were some questions about concentrator status and